Hello, this is Fred Lambertson, and this is my Project 4 IT interview for Education 513. So the IT department in question is with the Fontana Unified School District, which is where I work at Kaiser High School as a biology teacher. And actually this coming September, I'm going to be transferred to A.B. Miller High School, but it's still in Fontana Unified, and it's the same IT department. So there's actually 5 high schools in the district, and so we use the same guys. So let's get started. Our first gentleman is John R. Walker. He's the main point of contact. He's been in the Fontana Unified School District for about 8 years. He is the on-site technician who goes out to site any of the campuses that have a work order for him. He is the one who gets it taken care of. And so we have to put in a work order because there's 5 high schools, and so essentially he only gets to each campus about once a week, if we're lucky twice a week, but we have to give him work orders in advance, and there's usually a week. Well, it depends on the day he's coming. So say if his day at Kaiser High School is on Tuesday and I need something fixed on Wednesday, he wouldn't come until the next week unless we expedited something and got like a special request. But essentially, we want to make sure we have any sorts of problems the day before he comes. Otherwise, we got to wait a week. So he travels to each campus once a week. He takes care of firmware updates. So anytime you have a flash update, any sort of iTunes or media player updates, any Windows soft dates or operating system updates, he has to come and take care of that, because we don't have any sort of administrative privileges to install anything on our computers. There's an administrative password required for any sort of update. So that's his job. He also does troubleshooting and any sort of problems we have with our hardware, whether it's the smart boards or the laptops or anything with the network. So next I asked him the question, okay, so who determines the firewall parameters? Because, you know, YouTube is allowed in our district, but certain things weren't, and so I asked him, well, who's in charge of that? There's a security specialist who oversees what the firewall privileges are, and there's a committee that determines what's done. If we have a certain program we want to have installed, then we have to write a request, basically. So we name what it is, we describe what it is and why it's important and how it's useful for us. We send it to the committee, and then the head security specialist determines if it will be added or not. And they oversee the scheduling of the technicians to site locations. Alright, so right here we have the advantages of our technology there. They've got a telepresence. Basically, all our phones are networked, so we get a very clear signal, and we have inter-district calling. And so he said that's a big plus that we have. And there's also remote access. So because the technician, John, only comes to our campus maybe once a week, he's off-site. If we have issues, say we've got a new laptop that needs to be accessing the network printer, he can remotely give us access. And so there's a lot of functions that he can do remotely without being on site in terms of the network privileges. So that's a nice thing. Alright, so some of the disadvantages. There's not enough financing, of course. Everyone, I'm sure, has that problem. And if there's a hardware malfunction, then we have to wait a week, and there's just not enough hardware and financing to take care of that. Security, there's IT active monitoring, so even if I had a handheld and I was able to access the network, they would block it eventually. And I noticed that for certain websites, they eventually block those down too if we find a loophole. So they're actively monitoring, which is good, and so that we don't have kids going all crazy and taking up our bandwidth. Each student has an individual login, faculty have individual logins, and guests have logins as well. And we have a closed network, so no one else is in. Like, no one's personal devices are allowed to be used. The nuts and bolts of our system, there is... Oh, that's right. So our download speed is really good. We get 10 gigabits a second. So I haven't had any lag or any issues at all in 4 months. We have Dell laptops, so all the students are wireless. My computer was wireless. It's all wireless access, so we don't have cords everywhere. The The computers have webcams, and we have 2 lab carts to share and not have to go to the computer lab. We can bring the computer lab straight to our class. So that's basically our IT at Fontana Unified School District. It's actually one of the better ones that I've been a part of. I've been a part of a few different a few different networks and IT places. There's a smart board in every classroom, and just our network speeds are amazing. So that's it.